Hello, I am going to do our weekly English tip for lesson 7 today. What I want to talk about is parts of speech, and what that means is there are some words that can be different parts of speech. It could be a noun or a verb or an adjective or an adverb. And so when this is most important when you do your vocabulary quiz, the writing one, where you put a vocabulary word into a sentence. Because you'll see here, it has the vocabulary word that you need to put into a sentence. Then parentheses N means it's the noun. When we have, and sometimes people might use anxiety as a noun, but they might put anxious, and that's actually an adjective that describes a noun. So a person might be anxious. So describing that person is saying they're anxious, and that's an adjective. So if you use that word instead of anxiety, anxiety is something that you may have. My sister has anxiety. That would be a sentence because that's a thing, a noun. So when we see in these parentheses, that tells us what part of speech it is. Like to rest, it's a verb. And like I said, sometimes those vocabulary words can be other parts of speech, and that's why it specifies. It tells you which one it is. So I have this chart. I just want you, I'll hide my face for a second. I want you to look at, and I will include an attachment to this so that it's just, it's a screenshot of a document. So it just tells you what part of speech, what that part of speech does, and then some example words and sentences. So if it has a parentheses N, and you're like, well, what is an N? It's a noun. What's its job? It's a thing or a person. Then example words. Here are some examples of nouns. You'll see John and London are capitalized because they are proper nouns. That means it's a specific name of a place and a person. So then here's some sentences using those nouns. As I talked earlier, adjective describes a noun, so it explains a little bit about the noun. Here are some examples of adjectives. Red, big, good. My dog is big. There's an adjective. I like big dogs. Once again, big is the adjective describing dogs. So I hope this chart is helpful so that luckily these things down here you don't necessarily have as a part of your vocabulary quiz. So it's mostly these top 4 that it could be. And so if you see in parentheses that it's an adjective, then use this chart to help you remember, oh, what was an adjective again? Or an adverb that describes how a verb is being done. It's maybe the walk. I'm walking is maybe the verb. Well, how am I walking? Let's describe that walk. Quickly, silently. It might be sadly. Maybe I'm sadly walking. So there is my English tip, parts of speech. Some vocabulary words could be different, some of these different parts of speech, and so you need to make sure you're looking at that and using that correctly in the vocabulary quiz. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, everyone.